Before you can become confident, you have to act confident. You don't start building a skill and suddenly become confident out of nowhere. You act like you are, then as you improve your skills and your knowledge, you will become more confident. It's not just with speaking, it's with everything that you do in your life. And for me, that started with fighting. I started fighting and I was awful. I didn't know how to fight, but my confidence was at an all-time low with my ability of defending myself in a scrap. My first fight, I was shitting my pants. My second fight, I shit my pants a little less. My third fight, a little less. And by the time I'd been doing this sport for 2 years, MMA, one individual came to me when I was in Phuket, Thailand, after sparring with these UFC fighters. And he came to me, his name was called Ben, and he said, "I've worked with thousands of military soldiers and spies, and I've never seen someone as calm and as composed as you." Now, when he said that, I was still a little scared. But the thing was, I was perceived as confident because I knew how to act and I knew what techniques I should use. All because I had the knowledge to be perceived as confident. Now that was in 2018. Came to 2020, 2021, I was confident in every single fight that I walked into. I had full belief that I would win. But in 2018, that was not the case. And in 2016, when I started, I was shitting my pants. Now, it's no difference with your communication. You will be nervous, you will be scared to speak in front of a crowd, doing a presentation at work, doing a meeting. But it's only by being perceived as confident, even when you're not, that you'll be able to be confident at all times. Now I'm going to go through some tools that you can utilize. But if you want some more tools, and 30 tools to be precise, check out the link below. And these tools will allow you to never freeze in a situation. So you've always got ideas that can spurt out of nowhere. And you can freestyle on the spot. All I ask for is your email. Click the link below, put your email in, and I will send you the tools over 30 days. But let's get into how you can be perceived as a confident speaker. Now, number one, the most important one, is your volume. The volume is the life to your speech. And when I'm on my phone scrolling through TikTok, I can tell without even looking at the camera, just by listening to the sound, if they are confident or perceived as confident. And it's the volume. You know those people that speak quietly? Who's messaging me at that time? Outrageous. We'll keep that in the edit. But when they speak with a low volume, you can just pick on it straight away. If you speak like a mouse, you'll be treated like a mouse. You need to have a volume 6. Most people speak at a volume 3. Like right now, I'm speaking about a volume 6. If I was to go on stage, I would go to more of a 7. When I want to be a little bit louder, this is more like an 8. So you want to be at that level 6 level. But the way that you can improve this is by taking notes. Next time you meet an individual that you believe is confident, just take note. How loud are they speaking? Are they speaking really quiet like this and really, really soft? Or are they speaking a little bit louder, projecting their voice, enunciating their words? Because when you speak with more volume, you speak with more breath. And when you speak with more breath, you will pronounce your words better. So just start to take note of these confident individuals, of how loud they are speaking. And once you get into the realm of communication and trying to improve your communication, you'll be able to range your volume, sometimes going soft and sometimes going really high and louder. But if your base level is down here and you speak like this, just imagine if I did the whole clip like this and just spoke like this, you wouldn't think I'm very confident at all because I'm speaking very, very quietly. So your volume is the life to your voice. Let's get into the next one. Number 2. And number 2 is your rate of speech. I used to think if I could get more information out, I would be perceived as confident. But really it's the opposite. Because when you speed up your speech and you speak like this and you really don't really think about what you're saying and you try and get everything out that you possibly can and you don't really breathe and you don't take a chance to breathe, you do not give the other person time to think. You feel that you need to speed up your speech so they don't butt into the conversation. And because you are doing this, you are being perceived as not confident. The most confident individuals that I've ever met in my life, when it comes to speaking, speak really slow. They take their time. They breathe between their sentences, mid-sentences, when they need to think about what they are saying. But the ones that aren't confident are the ones that ramble. Just imagine a Karen at the office. A Karen who's an assistant and has to get all the jobs out to the boss of what she's done for the day. Just imagine what Karen be like. Well, I've done this, I've set this into your diary, and I've booked this flight, and I've booked you this hotel, and we're going to need to be here at 2 o'clock so you can see this meeting with Fred, because Fred is a really important individual. They are speaking quickly. They are not perceived as confident. So if you want to be perceived as more confident, take your time with your speech. Pronounce your words and enunciate all the syllables and consonants. Because when you speed up your speech, not only will you not be perceived as confident, but you also have the potential to trip over your tongue and mess up your words. When you speak slower, it gives you time to think, and it also gives them time to think. So you can be perceived as a more confident individual. A way that you can improve this is filming yourself. See how you speak on camera. Or even just taking note how other people speak, the rate of speech they are speaking at. Try and match the people that you think are confident. So when you look at an individual and you think, oh, they seem like a confident speaker, match that rate. Because then you are going to get similar qualities to that person. And if you're perceiving them as confident, most likely that will make people perceive you as confident. That moves me on to number 3, and that is your intonation, your pitch. Now this can differ depending on what country you are in, but right now I'm in Australia, and everyone has a tendency to have a high intonation, a high pitch on the end of their sentences. For example, going to the shop, they raise the pitch up, even if it's not a question, because really, intonation, when it goes up, it's a question. When it goes down, it's a statement. Quite a lot of people would go, Stafford Swainston. That makes it sound like a question. That makes it sound that you don't have an authoritative voice. To be more centered in your voice and be perceived as confident, you want to put that intonation down when it is a statement. That is a very important factor that you need to include into your communication. Let me put that on silent. It's interrupting our YouTube. But we want to put that down. Put the intonation down. For example, Stafford Swainston or Stafford Swainston. Stafford Swainston, Stafford Swainston. One's a question, one's a statement. For example, let's do another one. I'm from Yorkshire. So we have a tendency to miss out a lot of words. For example, I would just go into the shop, going to the shop, it's a question. Or if I was going to the shop, I'd just say going to the shop. Going to the shop, going to the shop. The way you put your intonation in at the end of the sentences will make a big difference on how you are perceived. Because if you're speaking as if everything's a question, but really it's a statement, that's going to confuse the listener subconsciously, because it's human nature to go down. Take note when you are finishing your sentences. Is your pitch going down or is it going up? Make sure you get the correct one. If you want to really drill this in and you feel like when you do it in person, it's not quite kicking in. You're going to get a book, and when you get the book, you're going to read the sentences out. When it's a question, you can go up. When it's a statement, go down. This will drill in the technique and make sure you have the right pitch at the end of your sentences. Now let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is your fillers. Fillers take the credibility away from your message. If you've got a message like this, let's just pretend this is a sentence. Then you put a filler over it. And then you put another filler over it. And then you put another filler over it. You can't read that sentence because it's hidden by all these filler words. Now when it comes to speaking, if I did this, like, you know what I mean, and I didn't really think about taking these filler words out, it's hiding the message, and it makes it harder for you to understand. But what you should be doing is pausing. You pause so you don't put a filler word in. Because when you leave that gap, like that, it gives the listener, which is you right now, time to think about what I'm saying, to process. But if I'm always doing this and, you know, I'm saying like and all this, yeah? You have no time to think because I'm always saying a new word. So when you are trying to think, I'm distracting you with this filler word. So not only does it take credibility away from my message, it also distracts you and doesn't allow you to think about what I'm saying and process and reflect on what I'm saying. Fillers take your credibility away. If you want to be a credible source, you want to be perceived as confident, get rid of these filler words. The most common ones, are, like. They're the most common ones that you're going to hear or that you potentially will use. Everyone has their own filler words. For me, it was and ah. Then after that, it was so. And then in person, when it was a social interaction, I used yeah quite a lot. And the only way that I was able to get rid of these filler words was by filming myself. It's quite hard to do it any other way because before you can get rid of them, you have to become aware. Not only for getting rid of these filler words, but also every technique that you want to utilize and tool you want to put into your arsenal, you need to be aware. You need to build the awareness before you can utilize them. So, I've just used one then. I'm going to keep it in the edit. So now, when I am watching this back, I'm like, oh, that is one that I need to get out of my speech a little bit more. You are going to get a phone. You can use it on voice record. Film yourself speaking for 3 minutes. See what filler words you say. And then, once you start filming, you will start becoming aware of when you start saying these words. And that awareness will build up, and slowly you'll be able to get rid of them from your speech. It's not good enough filming once. You need to film every single day. And I'll be honest, to get rid of and ah probably took me 3 weeks, 4 weeks. To get rid of so, and I've even used it in this video, that took me a while. If you watch videos back from ages ago, I use that word a lot. A lot, because the problem with so, people start it with the sentence. The way I got rid of the word so is by putting therefore. So this happened, therefore this happened. I went to the shop, therefore I had tea to eat tonight. I wouldn't go, therefore I had tea to eat tonight, if I didn't put that bit at the start of the sentence. So that made me process when I was using so correctly in my speech. But these filler words will kill your credibility and it will also make you seem not confident. Another thing, just think about the topic you are most confident on. One topic, that looks like 11, but one topic that you are most confident on. Now, if I got you to speak on that topic for 2 minutes, you'd be pretty comfortable, right? Now imagine I got you to talk about a topic you had no clue about. If we filmed the one you are confident about and the one you have no clue about, I know for a guaranteed fact that you would say less filler words in the one that you are confident about compared to the one that you weren't confident about. And the reason for that is you know the knowledge. You don't need to think. Because you will say these filler words when you are thinking, but you are thinking out loud. That's why you say them. So when it's time to think, breathe in, because it forces you to not speak. If you do this, you can't say any words. Breathe in, pause, think, then speak again. And that moves me on to the last one, number 5, the last tool that you can use to be perceived as confident even if you're not, and that is not to ramble. Sometimes I can find this quite hard. I'm going to get a drink. But sometimes I can. Sometimes I like to go off in different paths when it comes to communication. But there's a set framework that you can follow to be precise with what you're saying. Now, it all depends on the situation you are in, but you are going to use these frameworks. One framework that I really like is PREP. Point, reason, example, point. Now, if you're at work, this is a beautiful one to use because you're going to state what it is, the reason that is happening, the example, and then you're going to state the point again. The reason people ramble is because they don't have a path to follow. They just go. They don't organize their thinking. It's not the speech that is the problem when you are rambling. It's your thought process. So we need to organize our thought process so we don't ramble. The way we are going to do that is the frameworks. If I just get a random question, all right, I'm going to think of one now. Oh, Jenny, how is the sales doing for Q2? The Q2 sales have a 20% increase from Q1. The reason for that is we've implemented a lot more marketing strategies into the company. One of them being a social media funnel, from posting clips on Instagram and then getting ManyChat to send an automation when they comment a certain word. And that has created a huge amount of inbound leads to the business. And this is what has allowed us to go up 20% in the last quarter. That was a point, a reason, an example, another point. So you can use this in your meetings, in your presentations, when you are at work in situations. Now, PREP's not the only formula and framework that you can use. You can get different ones depending on the situation. If it was a social event, you could do a 3-2-1. 3 steps, 2 types, 1 thing. Or you could do a what, so what, now what. Let's do an example with that one. What? Our revenue has raised 20% in Q2. Because of this, we are now going to implement that strategy into Q3. By doing this strategy from Instagram to ManyChat, we now have a proven protocol that we can use in future advertisement. Just by using that framework, you've guided yourself where to go. When you don't have a framework, your mind will be left to ramble. So when you have those important questions to answer, no matter what situation you are in, even if you're improvising, think of a framework to answer and it will guide your way. Let's go over those 5 tools again. We have volume, we have rate of speech, we have intonation, we have fillers, and we have rambling. Just like I was when I was fighting. In 2018, I was fighting quite a lot. I'd walk out calm and composed, but I would be shitting it inside. Everyone would comment how calm I looked. I was just being perceived as confident. I was not confident one bit. I didn't really believe in myself. But because I knew that situation, I knew what the feeling of feeling nervous and feeling scared was like, I was able to accept it. And that's what you have to do, accept these feelings, because it's only by accepting them you will be perceived as confident and then confident. And if you want 30 other tools that will help you become confident, and not only just give you the knowledge you need, but the actions that you need to do to actually utilize them and make them work, check out the link below. That is completely free down there. If you've signed up, you don't like them, there's an unsubscribe at the bottom, but you are not losing out on anything, and it might just improve the way you speak. Because when you improve the way you speak, you improve how people perceive you. You shape how much influence you have in the world, and you shape how much opportunities you have. Because it all comes down to that one thing: your ability to communicate. And within these 30 tools that I will send you, you will realize communication is not about using big words to impress. It's about connecting and nothing less. Because even the simplest things you will say will land with power and they won't fade away. If you want that to happen to you, the link below. And also, YouTube is a very smart individual. So if you liked this video and you enjoyed it and you thought it had extreme amounts of value, check out this one.